Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan on Saturday said he ordered the foreign ministry to expel 10 envoys from Western countries. If carried out, that would mark the deepest diplomatic rift with the West during his 19 years in office. He said, "I gave the necessary order to our foreign minister and said what must be done. These 10 ambassadors must be declared persona non grata at once. You will sort it out immediately." Erdogan is fuming because the envoys have called for the release of Osman Kavala. The philanthropist denies charges that he financed nationwide protests and was involved in a failed coup. He has been in prison for 4 years. Rights groups say his case is emblematic of a crackdown on dissent under Erdogan. Erdogan's remarks come just days after the ambassadors of the United States, France, Germany, and 7 other countries issued a joint statement calling for Kavala's urgent release. They were summoned by the foreign ministry, which called the statement irresponsible. European Parliament President David Sassoli said on Twitter, "The expulsion of 10 ambassadors is a sign of the authoritarian drift of the Turkish government. We will not be intimidated. Freedom for Osman Kavala." The U.S., German, and French embassies, the White House, and State Department did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Erdogan has previously said he plans to meet U.S. President Joe Biden at the G20 summit in Rome next weekend.
Former U.S. President Barack Obama on Saturday campaigned in Richmond, Virginia, for the state's Democratic candidate for governor, Terry McAuliffe, just days ahead of a tight, closely watched election. Opinion polls show McAuliffe, who served as Virginia's governor from 2014 to 2018, and Republican businessman Glenn Youngkin nearly tied in the countdown to the November 2nd election. Some see the race as a barometer of the country's political direction. Obama on Saturday suggested a split in the road.
Because there's a mood out there. We see it, right? There's a politics of meanness and division and conflict, of tribalism and cynicism. And that's one path. But the good news is there's another path where we pull together and we solve big problems and we rebuild our society in a way that gives more and more people a better life. And that's the choice we face.
Youngkin's strength in the polls during the first weeks of early voting has worried Democrats, who anticipated a comfortable lead in a state that has trended blue in recent years. Democrats flipped the Virginia legislature in 2019, and Donald Trump lost the state by 10 percentage points in November 2020, double his margin of defeat in 2016. McAuliffe on Saturday asked the crowd if they now want what he described as a Trump-like figure to govern.
Glenn Youngkin is not a reasonable Republican. I call him Donald Trump in khakis. Do we want a lapdog to Donald Trump to be our governor here in the Commonwealth? No, we don't.
Youngkin, a former private equity executive, recently issued a statement saying it was weird and wrong to pledge allegiance to a flag with January 6 connections. He's also previously suggested that McAuliffe is trying to advance a far-left agenda. A heated debate on the use of prop guns has been reignited following the recent on-set shooting death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins by actor Alec Baldwin. According to details of a police investigation, Baldwin was handed what was described as a safe, cold gun on the set of his Western movie Rust. But that prop gun contained live rounds when it was fired on Thursday. The fatal shot hit Hutchins in the chest. The film's director was injured too and was later released from a hospital. Many people in the industry are questioning whether prop guns, some of which are real guns loaded with blank rounds instead of bullets, should be used going forward. Rick Palaziole is the owner of the California-based prop weapon supplier Weapons of Choice. He says he stopped renting fireable guns to film productions more than 20 years ago because he was concerned about the risks involved with blank cartridges.
Everyone always thinks that a blank can't kill anyone. If I may, this is a real rifle bullet. When the cartridge is fired, the bullet leaves the gun and all of the powder burning also leaves. It doesn't explode all at once. It continues to burn as it leaves. So there's a lot of particulate matter. A blank is just this part. sealed off with a little bit of wax or with cardboard, and all of the gunpowder that can propel this through a human body is still inside the blank. So it comes out with enough force. If there's any discharge, if there's any debris inside the barrel, it's going to come out as shrapnel.
Productions using prop guns have weapons handlers or armorers who watch the weapons on set and regularly check that they are only loaded when needed and with the intended material according to industry rules. Indie film director Ben Rock.
Every armor, I've ever worked with takes that job outrageously seriously, because their job is firearm safety. And if somebody gets injured, it's really on them. And it's beyond like, I didn't safety this properly and it fell and someone got hurt or something. It's like, if they don't handle their job right, something like this could happen.
Rock said he has pushed back on the use of firing blank rounds for years, arguing the gritty realism of it all can be replaced by using airsoft guns and adding visual effects in post-production.
We're also pretending about everything else. I don't see why we can't pretend about this too.
Matteo Salvini, leader of Italy's right-wing League Party, said a trial where he faces kidnapping charges for refusing to let a migrant ship dock in the country in 2019 was not serious, as actor Richard Gere was admitted to testify. Salvini, who was Italy's interior minister at that time, appeared on Saturday at the second hearing of a trial in the Sicilian capital of Palermo, where the court approved a list of witnesses. Witnesses include Italy's former Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte and Hollywood actor Richard Gere. Gere was in Italy at the time and joined the Spanish NGO Proactiva Open Arms, which managed the rescue ship, to deliver food to people on board. Salvini told reporters, "Now you tell me, how serious is a trial where Richard Gere comes from Hollywood to testify on how bad I am?" Proactiva Open Arms told the court Gere could give a direct account of the conditions on board the vessel, which was stranded off the Italian island of Lampedusa for 19 days before prosecutors ordered the evacuation of the people on board. It's not clear whether Gere will appear in person to give evidence at the trial. Salvini, who's built much of his political fortune on an anti-immigration campaign, said he simply did his duty as a minister, adding that defending a country's borders is not just a minister's duty, but everyone's duty. Salvini could face up to 15 years in prison if found guilty at the end of a long 3-stage judicial process.
Democrats are closing in on a deal on U.S. President Joe Biden's social and climate change agenda. Congressional Democrats and the White House hope an agreement on a framework of $2 trillion or less will enable the House to advance a $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill and set the stage for passage of Biden's larger Build Back Better social package. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said Friday Democrats have agreed on more than 90% of the issues. She said decisions remained on the legislation's health care provisions and which revenue provisions to include. Also voicing optimism, Vice President Kamala Harris.
I am confident that we will reach a deal, but these details have to be worked out. And, I think the American people should feel some sense of relief that people who are in a position to make this deal are paying attention to details and are getting into the nitty-gritty.
Disagreements over the scale of the larger package have held up Biden's domestic agenda. Progressive House Democrats are refusing to vote for the infrastructure bill, which has already been passed by the Senate, until a deal is reached on social programs and climate change. And over in the Senate, moderate Democrat Kristen Sinema is balking at raising tax rates for the rich and corporations. In an attempt to get her support, Finance Committee Chairman Ron Wyden is floating a billionaire's income tax proposal to help offset the cost of the Biden plan. That proposal aims to clamp down on loopholes billionaires use to avoid or significantly lower their tax payments. A source said Biden is favorably disposed towards that tax.